So we are live.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Doctors' Day. It is an honor to welcome you all to this session in celebration of National. As we reflect on the invaluable role that doctors play in our lives, we are reminded of the commitment, compassion, and resilience that define the medical profession. Today, we will explore the pressing issue of balancing medical education in India. Through this seminar, we aim to shed light on the undergraduate and postgraduate disparity existing in the Indian healthcare system and discuss possible solutions. We are honored to have distinguished guests and experts with us today to share their insights and perspectives on this crucial topic. Today, I would like to welcome Dr. Minu Bajpai, sir. He is the Executive Director and Vice President of National Board of Examinations in Medical Sciences. The NBEMS is an autonomous body under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. They conduct the postgraduate examinations, foreign medical screening examinations, and exit exams in the field of modern medicine and allied specialties at the national level. He was also the former Dean of Academics at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, and former head of pediatric surgery at AIIMS, Delhi. I would also like to extend our welcome to Dr. Lokesh Edara, sir. He is the chairman and board of trustees of American Association of Physicians of Indian origin. He is also the chairman of Global Medical Education Committees of aapi. Founded in 1982, aapi represents a community of over 80,000 practicing physicians of Indian origin in the United States. Welcome, sir. Now I would like to hand over to Shreya to introduce the moderators and hosts for the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suzanne. Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Shreya Katoj, General Secretary, GAIMS, Himachal Pradesh, and I'm honored to be a moderator for today's webinar. On behalf of GAIMS India, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed speakers, our talented moderators, and to all the participants who joined us today. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our distinguished moderators and our hosts for today's event. Our host for today is Dr. Shubham Anand, sir, Chairman, Global Association for Indian Medical Students. I would like to thank him for providing us this platform to talk about such important issues. Our first moderator is Dr. Abhinav, National President, Global Association for Indian Medical Students. We are delighted to have him lead today's session. Our second moderator for today is Dr. Abhishek Kashyap, President, International Relations Council of GAIMS. Our third moderator for today is Dr. Suzanne Ali, General Secretary, International Relations Council of GAIMS. I'm confident that with such an esteemed panel, today's webinar will be both insightful and engaging. Without further ado, I would like to hand over the session to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Minu Bajpai, sir, to share his insights on the topic UG-PG disparity. Over to sir.
Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, everyone. Once Abhishek starts sharing it, I'll start speaking also. It is such a pleasure to connect with you. Once again, I want to express my gratitude to the Global Association and Dr. Edara for starting this wonderful activity, connecting us to all the people in the medical program across the world, in fact, and that's why it is truly global. So the topic which I'm going to talk about today is balancing medical education in India and addressing the UG-PG disparity. An introduction about the National Board activity has already been given by Dr. Kashyap, so I won't go about it. Next, please. So basically, and the specialist requirement in country is addressed through an entrance examination, which is called the National Eligibility and Entrance Test. Many of you know about it. Last year, more than 2 lakh medical graduates took the examination, but we had only 70,000 seats to offer, which only makes a very stark that 2/3 who wanted to do PG did not get the PG seats. We have several courses for which we make admissions, the MDMS, the MCSDMs, the DNB and DRNBs, which are the super specialty courses, the fellowships, which are skill enhancement courses, and the 2-year post-MBBS diplomas. You would be surprised to know that we have 111 specialty boards, which includes all these courses. Next, please. And these courses include. Next. So we have broad specialties, which are a 3-year course, which are 29 of these, super specialties, which are called DRNBs, 32 courses. We'll have fellowships, which are 2-year fellowship courses, which are 41 in number. And we have post-diploma courses, which are 2-year courses. Of these, there are 9 courses. Next, please. So, as we are talking today about the challenges of the UG-PG disparity, a stark difference of two-thirds MBBS students who want to do PG but not getting in admission because of the lack of numbers. So, this ratio currently is less than 1:1, and ideal is 1:2, and many of the Western countries have 1:2 ratio. We all realize that the majority, top 10 conditions which cause mortality, cannot be addressed by MBBS alone. So we need specialists. And that's where the specialist deficit becomes very obvious to us and how to address it. The current specialist deficit in our country is 15 lakh. And to worsen, the scenario is even lopsided. That is, the rural-urban distribution in our country, where two-thirds of our people are urban, are rural area sort of inhabitants, but two-thirds of our specialists, they are in the urban distribution, which again makes it very stark. Now, over the last few years, the government of India has taken many steps, which means that we have doubled up the number of medical colleges, they have doubled up the MBBS seats, and as a result, we have now stand as 110,000 MBBS seats in the country. But again, as I said, the dismal number of PG seats remains that. It has increased significantly, and I'll show you how we have done it. Next, please. So, as you can see that in 2016, when the current board of the national board, which are governing body members, took over, we had only 4,500 PG seats contributing from the resource of national board. We, as you know, the NEET entrance examination distributes seats to National Medical Commission also. So we keep about 5,000 seats in 2016. This number has gradually increased to 15,000 today in just 7 to 8 years, which is a staggering number because of the changes in our policy, our flexibility, and we are co-opting many more colleges and hospitals where we can have the space for training. So you can see this trajectory is very fast growing up. To give it further propulsion, we have made certain other changes, and we'll show you that. Next, please. So the number of seats which have increased, as you can see, from 2016 to 14,000 plus, and today they are 15,000. The next exam, which is down the corner, would have more than 15,000 PG seats. Next, please. So how do we address India's specialist deficit of 15 lakh? For this, we have introduced a scheme called Joint Accreditation Scheme. I'll tell you a little more about it in the next slide, please. So as you can see, what is an accreditation of a hospital? Accreditation of a hospital means that a hospital has been recognized for its standards for training postgraduates. Now, there are 3 basic criteria for a hospital to be eligible for training doctors, and that is number 1, the case load. Number 2 is the case mix. Any specialty would have different spectrum of condition. So case mix is very important. And third is teacher eligibility in that hospital. So if a hospital meets these 3 criteria, it is eligible for training people. As you can know that currently the National Board has 1,500 hospitals with us. 2/3 of these are private hospitals, and with that we are having 15,000 PG seats. But in India, there are 70,000 hospitals, and majority of space has got huge number of clinical material. There is no dearth of clinical material for teaching in our country, but it is untapped. So we look at the policy of accreditation, and we found that if we modify that, some hospitals which are not able to be eligible because either they don't have a good case mix or their case load is not good enough, they are not able to participate. So therefore we thought, if we can club 2 hospitals facilities into one, so the residents can rotate into 2 hospitals, suddenly those who are ineligible find a partner, and in this way 2 hospital spaces which were individually, independently not participating in training have opened up for the postgraduate program. This was a wonderful idea, and we looked at on the drawing board and we realized that this is definitely doable. Now, as I said, we have 70,000 hospitals in a country. not all of them could be made eligible by this scheme to begin with, but gradually they will be incorporated. So we decided to have at least 10 to 20% of the hospital space to begin with, which would add 75,000 more PG seats in our country every year. And this number, if we increase those percentages, can go up to 2.25 lakh to 3 lakh PG seats every year. You can imagine now that this scheme is now very much on. It is available on our website. Hospitals are applying for it, and gradually this number is going to increase. We'll tell you more about it, that what other challenges does this scheme bring to us and what relief it brings to us. Next, please. So as you can see that this trajectory of increase in number of PG seats is very much happening now. And as I showed you the figures in the last few years, we are now going to make it much more further. There are many things which go into the programs, and I'll tell you as we slowly walk through the slides. Next, please. So we are aiming to have 3 lakh PG seats per year. It will take about another 2 to 3 years before all the hospitals are sensitized. Our monitoring process has become very strong. We are visiting hospitals through our team to see what deficit they have. We encourage them to take care of the deficit. We support them by hand-holding. The government is very flexible so that these hospital spaces start participating. Next, please. Now, the joint accreditation scheme brings to the table a majority of great things which our country has always been deficit in. The arrangement is a government hospital can club with another government hospital. One government hospital can club with its joint accreditation with a private hospital. Two private hospitals can club together in each their activities. And finally, the standalone diagnostic centers. You have heard major centers are there in India. We also know that almost 80 to 90% of diagnostics in India is done by private sector, not the public sector. So these are huge giants, huge amount of biological fluids and material they are handling. And it's a huge material which, if not tapped for teaching, goes waste. So we are actually looking at them. But we would also have asked them that you cannot stand alone work. You should have club activities with the hospital space. So our pathologists or microbiologists, etc., can share the material, train through that, and teach further. So this is the virtue of the joint accreditation scheme. For the population, you can see the virtues of joint accreditation add availability of specialists in remote areas. District hospitals, which were simply treating patients, are now opened up for training also. These district hospitals are in townships. But once they club with corporate hospital or a government medical college, they would suddenly be available for training. Residents will be working there, and therefore they will be participating in the program of service. At the same time, they will be getting training. We have realized that the failure of bond system. We were forcing people after they have qualified to go to the villages and work. They didn't find very good working atmosphere there or living conditions there. But now with the new system, we will only requesting and allowing residents to be trained there for a short period of time. So the doctors will be available for training, and for teaching and for as well as for the service part. Then they will come back after 3 years. So they don't have to live their life there, but they would be training with the clinical material. They will be getting their postgrad and servicing the local population, adding to the situation that we found that when the doctors were trained, they were posted, they never wanted to go there. We can also pick up early diseases. We can cater to the wellness centers in the periphery. In this way, we can participate into the wellness programs right in the early part. Villagers, when they have advanced disease, only then they come to the urban areas for treatment. But the doctors are training in the townships. The treatment early diagnosis would be available to them right in the district level. So it will also enhance early referral. It will reduce the burden for the more tertiary care hospital because a lot of treatment can be done locally. And it will also reduce the burden of man-hour work loss because the villagers and people in the periphery, they have to travel long distances. They burden the civic facilities like train, roads, etc. And they have to live in another city. And this is the financial burden to them. So our joint accreditation scheme extended to district hospital through a hand-to-hand collaboration with existing hospitals would offer so many benefits, not only training space, not only providing service, but also early detection of diseases. So the referral system could be much more robust. Next, please. Now, I have told you about this. There are many combinations. Government and a private hospital can all have tripartite agreement with National Board of Examination, which handholds it, which guides them, which facilitates how a training can be done to the resident, and it is properly done. We have also coming to you with what are we doing to improve the quality of the education. Next, please. So whenever you have such big numbers coming up, the concern is, are we, should we not make sure that the quality of education is very good? That concern is always there. So we have realized that there is a very heterogeneous environment of training across the country. And the resident training is not uniform everywhere. There are medical colleges which are very, very good, and there are others which are fall short of it. So in order to elevate the standards and to get uniformity of training and SOPs, we have at the National Board headquarters in Delhi taking several measures. We have been running webinars for them as online, which also discuss complex case scenarios. We transmit procedural videos, state-of-the-art lectures. So across all the programs in the country, these programs, these teachers and these sort of training material is imparted on a regular basis around the week. We have also created our e-library. That was a burden for hospitals to have a physical space and books because it was costly. We are now just on the verge of releasing the e-library concept where hospitals will get the electronic material online for journals as well as the major books. We have also, we are starting the National Center for Skill Development. Today is the time for simulation training. So this is a 45,000 square feet facility with state-of-the-art simulators just across all India Institute of Medical Sciences. It will cater to the national need, and students from all across the country would come for training for 4 to 5 days under one of the best simulators across the globe. It's a dynamic, safe platform for providing training because doctors do want to have hands-on, risk-free atmosphere training first, so that when they actually see the live situation, the risk and panic is much less. That is why the advantage of simulation is. Next, please. So we all realize also when the residents come to the ward, they see patients, they learn by analysis and synthesis of the information available. Diagnosis develops through clinical and diagnostic implementation. They take histories, they do clinical examination, then they put in the test which have been done, and then a synthesis of a diagnosis is made. After this, there are 3 or 4 answers to the patient's treatment. How do we train the trainee to pick up the best answer? And for this is what is required to bring them through the training platforms of simulation to complex case scenarios so that they learn how to choose the best treatment option for a patient. Next, please. We have also realized that we have to train our teachers. We find that the training of trainers is as important as that of the trainees. So what we have done is, and Dr. Edara knows about it, we have approached the various training scientific association in the country. They are wonderful teachers who may not be in the medical colleges or having DNB programs, but they are very keen to participate. We can take some hours of training from them to put to the pool of training. So across the country, these people would be available. We also have tied up with the aapi and with British Association. We would be giving them talks, maybe 10 hours of talk to senior faculty. They would impart, so the deficit of trainees can be taken care of. This is called the concept of man hours. So even if they are not regular faculty, they will contribute to man hours of training to the student in their respective specialties. This way, the deficit of teachers would be taken care of. Next, please. Now, another thing that we realized was that I told you about the heterogeneous environment. I told you the students, the PGs, they go to the ward, they end up the ward rounds, etc. There are faculty with them, but are they being told and taught as much as they need? So therefore, what we have done is we have created, along with the Tata consultancy service, an app which is smartphone-based app which is now being populated with subject-specific material. This material will be available to the residents on their smartphones. As they finish their ward rounds, they see the cases they have seen, they tap it up, they see the material, and they answer the question. The teachers also see that these 4 cases which they have taken the round for, are they being addressed properly? Has enough academic information been given to the resident? Have they been taught on the clinical cases as far as the clinical examination is concerned, etc.? So this easy available smartphone app and populated with that specific material like dermatology or medicine or whatever, all of these in the operation theaters also would be available to the students so that there is uniformity of very high standard teaching program. And this had some plagiarism challenges. So we are looking that we don't fall into that trap. But this material would be very soon be available to all the residents to improve the quality of training. So it is not only numbers, but also the quality of training that we are addressing. Next, please. So as you can see, if you come briefly to the undergraduate training program, it has been realized that the UGs do not attend classes. And I saw this during my stint at the All India Institute, more so when I was the Dean Academics here. I realized that the MBBS students, they have their choices. They would like to come to one class, not to the other. And it's all based upon when we are asking them, they say we get enough material on the social platforms, on various U-World kind of platforms, so that they don't have to come to the classes. And this is where the American survey held for the same problem. UGs not attending classes, all they wanted to do was to crack the USMLE board examination. There was enough material available for training, and therefore they said, why should we come to the classes? However, the material available is often superfluous. To bring it to center stage, to make it more meaningful, we need teachers, because teacher can handhold, they can see you the points with their clinical experience, so you don't go haywire, you rather in the middle of the road and learn properly. For this, a new phenomena is emerging, which is becoming very popular with the world teachers. Next, please. This is called blended learning. So as you know that these online access platforms are available in plenty, various specialties, cardiology, anesthesiology, pediatrics, etc. are available, but they are superfluous sometimes, and they're not kind of guiding them in the way that maybe some of us would like it. Next, please. So how can we blend the efforts of the students along with institutionalizing it so that the teachers help the student tapping that platform material available? So this is called interactive and applied learning strategies. Now, these are case-based learnings, simulations, and problem-based learning. There are some active learning strategies where we have group discussions, peer teaching, and hands-on workshops. This is taking center stage, and it is very popular. There are various components to it. Next, please. Rather, the modalities in which it can be given. It's called flipped classroom concepts. Now, flipped classroom concept, which some of you might have heard, is actually when a student comes to a classroom, he's told about the fundamentals of a subject. Then it is taken up to the next level. Now, what is being done now, that why do we train the fundamental part? Why can't we give them fundamental component of the training right at their home and deliver it? When they come to the class, they are already groomed into the basic component, and the actual teacher whose experience can actually come to the center stage to handhold the students and tell them the more relevant things. So it is to make available the course material for tutoring, utilizing the flipped classroom approach, and it could be enabled through the computers. The various forms are, next please. There are 8 types of these. The conventional flipped classroom, in which the basic model here is that students are given access to learning materials, usually through online video and content, allowing to attend the class with a basic knowledge of the topic. There are group-based flipped classroom, there are debate-focused flipped classrooms, there are discussion-focused flipped classrooms, so that the residents find themselves in the center of the activity. They are actually leading the show sometimes. Sometimes they are asked to create the videos and teach the whole sort of class. So look at the level to which their interest is being garnered. They are being handheld by very experienced people, and the material is presented to them in the best forms. Next, please. There are many other forms also. Next, please. The micro flipped classroom, in-class Fox flipped classroom, virtual flipped classroom, and the flipped teacher, which I was telling the resident, brings the material, prepares it, learns how it is prepared. So you can imagine that he is already knowing the subject, and now he learns, he puts himself into the framework of the teachers and the student, how it is imparted. So these are all details we can discuss some other time, but this is what we are bringing to the table, and it is already there. Next, please. Now, we have heard about the national exit test examination. Many of you who are in India, you are concerned as to what is going to happen, how their final examination and their entrance ranking would be one exam only. The genesis of that was that the National Medical Commission felt that we should align with a competency-based curriculum. So students across the country with the heterogeneous environment should be able to have access to material, the guidance to training. SOPs should be common to all of them in such a way that the training atmosphere in all the universities across the country should be uniform. For this, the improved methods of training, how do we assess, how do we pre-assess them before they go for the professionals, is what is being now gradually rolled down. So the next has not happened this year. The committees are discussing it, how best to do it. So the UG education takes the one up, and that's where the next is going to come up. So we'll not tell you more about it because we are still at the stage of planning. And once it is out in just a few weeks' time, you will know how the next is going to happen in coming times. Next, please. So another important thing that all of you should know, I'm sure the youngsters are aware of it, but we should be in sync with what your requirements are. A recent survey was conducted by the great publishing house Elsevier. They conducted a survey of physicians across 111 countries, 3,000 clinicians. 83% clinicians felt that technology literacy will take the upper hand over clinical knowledge. We all know it. We all know that biostatistics, we all know how computers have come to the picture, how we are able to get the material synchronized into meta-analysis and etc. So all this is only possible if we have that technology literacy. Now, this is now boiling down to a distilled name called artificial intelligence and machine learning. This has come big way. This is taking the lead. This, people often ask you that is AI ML is going to replace the doctors? No, it is the AI ML enabled doctor who is going to replace a doctor who is not AI ML enabled. So imagine it will remain the doctor's forte, but he will be now more enabled in those schemes. Next, please. So in brief about it more, this is something which is going to boom the GDP of the world to the tune of $4 trillion by 2030. This is the global forum, some global economic forum data, which I am telling you. So India has also lapped it up, and I will tell you soon that we'll be the first in the world to start a post-MBBS two-year diploma, a two-year fellowship course in AI and ML, along with the Madras IIT and other IITs, so that graduates can do two-year fellowship. The postgraduates can also do fellowship for 2 years. So it's open. The minimum eligibility criteria is MBBS. Next, please. As you can know, that it's a 2-year post-MBBS program. We are opening up this fellowship along with IITs through a tripartite arrangement with IIT, with the hospital space where they would be trained, and the National Board of Examination. This is going to be rolled this year itself. Next, please. Now, why do we need medical training to navigate AI/ML? What makes medical training irreplaceable? We also hear the AI doctor will see you now, and people are concerned about it. So the doctors, as I said, who use artificial intelligence are going to replace those who do not. And this is something which is very real. Next, please. So a medical graduate possesses a unique combination of clinical knowledge. He understands human anatomy and physiology, and he has experience in patient care. This background is being tapped, which could be instrumental in the development of another machine learning tool, a platform which is called digital twins for healthcare and medical education. Digital twinning is going to make the quality of healthcare, your training, as well as patient level of care to much higher levels. Next, please. Now, digital twinning is actually disease modeling, simulating pathologies knowledge of diseases, their progression and symptoms can be applied to simulating scenarios. So you are not actually hazarding a treatment to a patient and experimenting. You are actually doing it on a computational model and then finding the results. You're trying different combinations. Instead of hit and trial, you have now on a digital platform to find out what is best for the particular patient. These are times of personalized medicine. A patient of diabetes would like to be treated differently from the other patient with diabetes because he has got a different genetic background. His metabolic responses and kinetics are different. He doesn't want to be treated by the same list of drugs. We don't expect same responses by the same group of medicine giving to diabetic patient. So that's what digital twinning is going to refine further. So this can be valuable for medical education and training healthcare professionals to recognize and treat different conditions. Next, please. So as I told you, we have to why we also need more PGs because we are short of doctors. We won't have surplus doctors because which will not only cater to the deficit in our country in the remote areas, but also they will have, they can go just like we saw in COVID. There was deficit in the availability of healthcare manpower, and many friendly countries took doctors from us. So therefore, the projected today, 20% of the doctors from India, they go abroad. If there is a global deficit, which is there is likely to be, and I would request Dr. Edara in his talk mention that part also. In America, there is an extreme shortage of doctors. So this deficit is there. Our doctors, which are only 20% going today, there'll be 40% going away. So therefore, we need to have more specialists. The global healthcare economy by 2040 is projected to be $12 trillion. I'm not going to the details, what are the components of it, but in short, there's a hospital space where this economy would be, the devices and manpower, where this particular, when this economy is going to be distributed. And it is only India, which has the capacity to cater to this requirement of manpower. Our population is our actually boon. We are standing tall, highest at the moment, and we are trying to gear up that each one of us in our fields should contribute to this global development. So as I said, we need surplus, not only for ourselves. We have to make sure that we don't exodus because the West will take away doctors with much more salary. We are a democratic country. We can't stop them from going. I'll tell you one more example. Cuba is a very small country. Cuba was able to export it today, its doctors, and getting a foreign exchange of $11 billion every year. $11 billion. And you know what is the population of Cuba? Only 1.14 crore. We are 140 crore. Imagine the explosion. Imagine that how much we need our specialists. Next, please. So finally, this is a very big thank you to you to take you through the journey, and especially in the presence of youngsters and in the presence of a guardian like Dr. Edara, who has been a constant source of stimulation. Many of the things that we are doing today and told you today, the genesis of that has been Dr. Edara. So thank you, Dr. Edara. And we request you to fill up those gaps which are there to be filled up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that insightful session and providing us insight into artificial intelligence, machine learning fellowships, joint accreditation scheme. Really, really amazing. So it has undoubtedly provided us with valuable perspectives and deeper understanding. Truly appreciate the time and effort you've invested in preparing and sharing this knowledge with us. It has truly been enlightening. Thank you, sir. So I would like to hand over the stage to Dr. Lokesh Edara now to share his insights on this topic. Dr. Edara.
Thank you so much for inviting me today. Happy Doctor's Day for all our GAIMS students and also all the students across the India and to all the faculty and healthcare. So main thing I was limiting to one topic, which is first of all, about the topic of one MBBS seat or one postgraduate seat. In ESA, we have currently we have 107,000 MBBS seats in India, but you have to calculate 9,000 people pass the FMG. If you put the next exam, I have a feeling that will go up. So at the same time, the shortage, I will answer the question. Shortage in America, you can get only maximum 2,000 people get a residency. But they're liberalizing, because once we get a PG like a specialty, if you have green card, they're giving more licenses. The shortage is there. There is other ways you fill in the future. So coming back to the PGs, I came to America in 1983 because I could not get a PG seat. I said, these guys are too smart. I'm not going to get it. So I just move on and come here and get a ECFMG. That's the main reason. We have around, I think numbers depends on 60 to 70,000 PG seats. But you have to take the 6,500 pre and paraclinical seats. So you're talking about around 60,000. So the gap of 47,000. But we have 300 new colleges came in, so they will fill some of them. And it's music to my ears, Dr. Minu sir saying they're projecting 2 lakhs of PG seats. That's amazing. I think I like to see that. What is the detail of it? And I'm sure. So my submission is, what is the specialties? How our parliament boards come to NMC said, please look at the what are the practices around the world. Look at then see what are the good practices, so we can bring back to India, to our country. So I just look at the next couple of slides are about the percentage of specialties. So what my submission is, total number we agree, but what specialties we need? What specialties we need? India needs it. 900 million, 90 crores people are in rural and suburban. What do they need? The healthcare. See, our jobs are important. Our livelihood is important, but why are we here in the medicine? Because to give the healthcare, the best life longevity, quality of care, and more affordable. That's the key, how we can deliver, how the policy makers can able to help us. Next slide, please. Okay, so these specialties, I work in thousands of hours on this. These specialties, if you we have, what India did is amazing thing is, which mandated departments of pathology, radiation oncology, dermatology, ENT, ophthalmology, surgery, OBGYN. There's nowhere in the world have a medical college mandated 21 departments. That is the strength of it. I mean, our seniors and the previous policy makers did amazing job. That's why every rural area, you have ENT doctor taking care of it, ophthalmologist taking care of it. Let's look at the more deeper percentage of. There is 1.6% of total MBBS PG seats, 1.6% of PG seats of pathology. If you took at this number, I took from 100,000. If I take 100,000 MBBS, we have pathology 2.9%. We have much percent more pathologists in India. But unfortunately, we have southern states have more than northern. That will eventually balance out once we have the new medical colleges come. Radiation oncology, US has 1.1. We have 1.8% of 100,000. MBBS. Dermatology, even though it's very competitive, we can create more of the seats. In India, America has 1.3 versus India 1.4. ENT, they only have one. There are 350 seats. I think we have 1,800 or plus. So everywhere you want tonsillectomy, nidectomy, almost across the country, we'll have availability there. In ophthalmology, 2.7% is much more. So we have ophthalmologists much more percentage compared to America. Orthopedics, we have a mandate orthopedic department in MBBS. That's over 3.2% seats in orthopedics out of 1,000. These are for 100,000. OBGYN also, America has 4%, we have 5.2%. But again, we have 25 million babies born, so our load need to be more. So these percentages all look into this. India has 24% of PG seats on these specialties. So these specialists, I don't think, and personally, you need more, maybe a little bit of tinkering, maybe the new colleges will come up with them. So the real thing is, where are we missing it? Where are we missing compared to the Western countries? Next slide, please. Okay. See here, if you look at the USA, 61% of PG seats are coming from these 5 specialties. 61%, but India only doing 12%. The family medicine, we say MBBS doctor is family medicine. No, they need a 3 years on. They're the ones who are serving. And actually, if you look into America is not that great. Model family medicine is only 13%. But if you look at the UK, Australia, they're up to 20 to 30%. Now, if you want a job in UK, If you want a job in Australia and Canada, the first thing you're going, 90% is going to go, you're never going to get other specialties. You only stuck with the GP. If you are family medicine graduates, and if you pass MRCP Asia, then your chance of any of these Western Commonwealth is much, much higher. So our percentage is only 13. I think DNB, National Boards, they helped us, and they're having 300, 400 seats. MD are only 10 seats. Our request is, I will tell you in a minute how we can create that one. So general medicine, we call in America internal medicine, there are 27% of the PG seats in general medicine. How about India? Only 6.7, even after increasing the seats. So we need much more. Why? Half of them will go to specialties like cardiology and other things. That's why they need them. Emergency medicine, they just started NMC, but they kept on hold, but it definitely improved and we need a lot more of emergency medicine doctors. Psychiatry, we have department, that's why at least we are somewhere, we need to go more. And pediatrics, we definitely have a good number of it, but we still have, I think another 2% will come with the new medical colleges, and another 2,000 will be created. So this is the major thing which is looking at the Western societies. And the gatekeeper system about the family medicine, how do you create? General medicine, how do you create? So there are, I just looked at the infrastructure of India. There are like 6,000 community health centers, 30 bed, and there are 1,000 area hospital, like 100,000 and 100 bed hospital. If you can give a DNB seats for 10 of them with a cluster of one area and 3 or 4 communities, and that itself can produce around 10,000, 15,000 family medicine or general medicine seats. And of course, we thank, I'm going to mention about a couple of things here. Dr. Minu sir said they're going the app for all the PGs, and actually MBBS should get an app. As soon as they get in, they should be self-study. They should do anatomy, physiology loaded up, and then all the lectures should be given. The flipped class is music to my ears. That's what you need. A 250 students sitting in a classroom with one teacher, transfer of knowledge is none to 2%, which I'm sure 100% of students agrees on it. But if you read, you combine, discuss, and you have a test there, which is self-time, then your transfer of knowledge is much, much higher. I did flipped class for 4th grade student in government school in Harijanwada in Andhra Pradesh. Their learning is amazing. So this is music to my ears about the flipped class, an app for every specialties, and also a computer exam centers in every medical college is must needed. And the formative assessment once a year is amazing, excellent, and also their projection of 1 lakh, 2 lakh PG seats must needed. So I really appreciate it. I'm going to stop here because we take questions. And so my request to the NMC and National Boards is make a workforce committee. So which specialty in India needs approximately, and bring all the specialties like a pediatric associations and together brainstorm and what percentage in range. So that way what India needs, so that way policymakers say, hey, this percentage is needed, this is what we need, and then we need a policy from the policymakers. And then a production is much easier. And also I like to tell, one of the ER doctor came from London to India, and PG went and said, hey, I want to come to London, I want to learn more. No. You're learning more skills, more procedures in India. When you come to London, they won't give you. You lose your skills. Imagine a 30 bed hospital where you have 300 outpatients and 30 deliveries, and you learn more than family medicine in UK, where you train 2 years in outpatient. 2 years of GP in London is outpatient, and 1 year in the hospital. You can learn more in our 100-bed hospital. So we want our policymakers to change these 3-4 specialties and build the whole health, because we need the basic primary care gatekeeper systems. So that way, of course, specialists, we need it. Excellent. Thank you so much. I'll stop here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Your deep dive into this topic has certainly expanded our understanding and provided us with valuable takeaways. We appreciate your time and expertise. It was a privilege to hear from you today. Now we will jump to question answer round, and questions from audience are welcome. You can type in your queries in the chat box and we'll take them up. Thank you. Over to Dr.
Yeah, hi all. First of all, thank you, Dr. Edara, for this session. And now I will be asking Minu Bajpai sir one question. I understand that it has been very challenging for you to maintain and initiate these kind of opportunities for MBBS graduates. I saw the capacity building process is very tough, I suppose. But sir, according to you, what are the main challenges in this allocation? The UG and PG disparity is there, and what is the main challenges NBEMS is facing in allocating the PG seats?
So there are 2 points to it. One is that, as I discussed in the early part, that the number of PG seats are far less than the UGs who want to do PG. And the country overall has a very huge deficit. And the third point which Dr. Edara raised was that how can we then identify that which are the specialty or training programs which require a boost? I'll address all the three. So one is that I told you that we are looking at the hospital space, and there is no dearth of available hospital space for training in our country. We are trying to find a situation how this hospital's space could be made creditable or accredited so that they can participate. That was, I've already told you about joint accreditation. Now, PGs are only a numerator. The denominator is the MBBS seat. The country has severe deficit of denominator as well. So as we move towards the 3 lakh number or whatever, we would suddenly find that our doctor deficit is yet to be more stark because the MBBS doctors that Dr. Edara mentioned have to be there. For this, we came out with a solution that a lot of corporate hospitals in our country have huge clinical material, a very good ethics of practice also, but they don't have pre and paraclinical sort of teaching program because the hospital is for teaching, treatment of patients. They are not there for education primarily, but they have enough clinical material for PGs. How can we use that material for MBBS also? So we had a meeting. In fact, last year, the Honorable Minister of Health had held a meeting with the call of the National Board to address the corporates with more than 400 beds. And we asked them, why don't you open up your space for the clinical training of undergraduates? What we will do from the National Board is to allow you a collaboration with the pre and paraclinical part of the medical colleges. So we will be tripartite. We will allow that collaboration with the medical colleges, and so that you can open a hospital space. And a lot of MBBS that seeking students who have to go abroad to countries, they will find enough space in the country itself. So this was a win-win situation, and that's where it is still being worked on because it's a huge mega program. Government is very interested because that's where the cabinet minister had actually started it off. You can see this program happening in the United States, in the Caribbean. There are colleges and there are students who are American, who can't afford American training. They go to Caribbean, they do college, they come back to America, some hospitals in America for clinical training. A lot of people are being taken up in some hospital. This project that they would be taking them to America, but actually they go to South America for training. But why should we allow our own Indian citizens to be actually taking a short ride? So therefore, we are doing that. That's the denominator part. Part 3 is Dr. Edara mentioned, was how do we find out the deficit, which type of deficit is there so that we can expand those programs. What we are doing is, sir, we ask the associations, suppose we need like fellowship. If there's a skill enhancement program required, say in hemato-oncology, we ask the National Association, do you think there is a requirement? And they have their governing body and they project, yes, there is one. Similarly, there are many other programs, intervention cardiology, etc., etc. So we are actually, at the moment, sir, we started the geriatric medicine course because we realized that the 3-year program for geriatric actually we look at 2 or 3 very important things that all of you should know. We look at disease demography. Disease demography guides us. Do we need more training in this area? Like once upon a time, not long ago, by 1990s, the 50% of disease burden in India was communicable diseases. It has been almost replaced by NCDs. So the programs in NCD have now taken upper hand. We are having more postgraduate programs for the non-communicable diseases. Number 2, our population is increasing at both ends. We look at population demography. Our elderly population above 65 years is now 7%. Huge number actually. If you look at our 1.4 billion population, it was only 3.3% in 1990. So we have started these elderly program for the elderly. Our younger population, children below 14 years of age, they constitute 25% of our population. Imagine, we have got out of 41 fellowships, 17 fellowship programs are pediatric oriented. So we are, sir, looking at the requirements. The bottleneck was the hospital space. So as we open up the hospital space, as we open up towards our denominators, these approaches are going to help us as well. Dr. Edara has also underscored a very important point that we also need GPs, we need family physicians. The community hospital are short as doctors. It is the community health centers which need a lot of family physicians. As he said very rightly, the clinical material in private practice, in small hospital is plenty. So we have taken clue to that as to how we can increase our family physician program itself. So the PG numerator, denominator MBBS, the programs requiring based upon disease demography and population statistics. There are many more components also, but as the questions will come, we will address them as well.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this insights. And sir, yeah, I really want to congratulate the nbems for the same, because you have been telling that you are trying to do man hours, that concept of man hours, the AI in medicine. You are already launching apps for the postgraduate, so that is really really fast. So I would like kudos to you, sir, for this. And now my next question is to Edara, sir. How do disparities in seat allocations affect the career progression of medical students? Like the career progression of medical students are being affected due to the seat allocations, due to this disparity of PG and UG seats.
Career means?
Career progression is, sir, everyone wants to do, every MBBS graduate wants to do post-graduation. So most of them, like almost 50% of them, are not able to get the seats. So
Yeah.
the career progression is hampered by this.
The creation, yes, PG seats, NEET exam is just to get higher, whatever your quality of higher ranking, like orthopedics or whichever it is, high medicine, whatever it is. But you need to create every MBBS a PG seats, which sir is agreed, health government is they're working how to do it. So as a physician, if you work hard, I'm sure there is a job for everywhere. It's just a matter of time to explore. Especially that's why government has to create. You cannot create a radiation oncologist too many. You're going to have problems. They did that in the dental. There are too many dentists out there. 30,000 dentists, 25,000. Supreme Court to get involved. So these enough specialties. If you some kind of committee has to guide like every few years just to modulate. That's where we're missing. So we need a policy changing. What percentage? What we need for health, and also they can create in the government sector jobs. That's why the career wise, everybody, even America, family medicine is not the top one, is the lower one income wise, but other specialty wise. But now there is jobs there. You need to have a job to begin with. So that's why along with the medical fraternity and the government and the policy together, what India need. An example of yes, it is what is Cuba is a great model, but the question is, how much Cuban doctor cardiac surgeon earns? $200 a month, cardiothoracic surgeon. But they explore, but the income from them, other thing is good. So there's both sides to it. But and by the time, yes, we're not going to lose any our the production is so high, like 2 lakhs or 1.5 lakh of PG seats. Even if you lose to the other countries, the limit is we still gain more for India wise, because that's one thing. Career wise, I think we need to have policy changes from the we need to debate, and then and every 5 years you need to tune it so that way everybody get a job. Don't overproduce some specialties, and government has to create and what it is. And one more thing I like to say about MBBS versus family medicine. MBBS doctor don't have platform to land for next 30 years. Family medicine have a platform, their own association. I'm an allergist. I learned every year last 30 years. So does Dr. Minu sir. He's a pediatric surgeon. Whenever he's trained versus 30 years, they're continuous learning with his society. And the MBBS do not have the society. That's why you don't want anybody over. And this thing moved on to the Western countries a long time ago. They're not going to give license unless you do 2 years of post graduation. So we need your more clinical exposure. Then you have more confidence. You could be adapt to anything. As long, I mean, you may go to other fields in business interest, whichever it is, public interest. So you need to have confidence of that one. So that's why I think we're all on the same page. It's just a matter of working together.
All right. Thank you, sir. Now over to Shreya.
So I have a question for Dr. Minu Bajpai, sir. So do you think that disparity in UG PG seats affects the quality of medical education? Like, are candidates ignoring the clinical skills and focusing more on theoretical knowledge?
Yeah, so if you just recollect some of the slides where my concern was addressing it, that one, that if we suddenly increase the number of seats, obviously we have to make sure that the teaching platform is equally robust, if not more. And for that, we are creating provisions, and the smartphone is something that I'm looking really up to it as soon as we populate it with the material. We have already done the exercise which we could do, that was to liaison with the Tata Consultancy, which are the best in digital sort of all areas, and they have already given us that platform. Now to populate it is what we are doing. Thirdly is the hands-on training, and I completely agree with you that hands-on training for that, how do we do? It's a bedside thing, so the smartphone will be helping in that area also. The webinars, which the best teachers in the country, they take for the postgraduates, which includes procedural videos, operative and non-operative, case scenarios, talk back discussions, etc. Each specialty around the year is one component. The National Skill Center would have the best of simulators so that they are not only trained into hands-on skill, but also soft skill. How do you talk to a patient? How do you break good or bad news to a patient? How do you break a news of death, etc.? We are also introducing, already done, foundation courses in legal, ethics, and health safety. Safety measures are very important with the staggering figures of unsafe practices and rather sort of pitfalls. So that part is being done. So these are various measures by which we are trying to see that the quality of education keeps on improving, not only numbers, and at the same time, the hands-on training skills are also important. And I'll be very happy to know from the audience what else they expect and what are the lacunae so that we can plug them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I can add, if I may, to Dr. Sir. So, like if I have some problem, I'm not going and in the house, I'm going to YouTube and learn from it and fix anything in my house. Same way, you not only, I think NBME or MCA directly come to students, teaching directly to them, directly to the faculty, not by manual teaching, by web-based self-learning, the faculty. Now, all the apps available in USA, they're directly going to the faculty. So that digital thing, they will keep it up in the same platform. You're learning everything. And of course, what is the best thing clinically? The more number of patients you see, you learn. The less number of patients, you don't learn. Where are in the world you have highest number of patients? In India, period. So if they're limited to your own medical college, that's failure. If they send you out to the private and all the hospital, everything, if you put 250 people, 100 people in one ward, that is a failure. If all the 20, 30 people go into different place in the town, there is a success. So that's what sir was saying, government, private government, everything. They're thinking that's what it is. I even mentioned NMC chair too. You have to, all the private hospitals now getting money from PM and government schemes. So they're all eligible. They have to admit you students, PG students. Every patient you see, it's eye-opening learning. So that's what we're coming. I think I'm so thankful for Minu sir's report, how the government is moving towards that.
Thank you, sir. Over to Dr. Suzanne.
Thank you, Shreya. Dr. Edara, sir, I wanted to know that being familiar with both the healthcare systems in US and India, what do you think will be the long-term effects of the disparities in the UG PG seats in India towards the healthcare system?
Okay. The number one is all MBBS should be postgraduate. What percentage of specialties? Of course, country and policy makers will decide. Because an MBBS doctor does not have enough clinical experience to be confident. Because your rotation, your 12th grade, so that need to be, everything has to be postgraduate. Whatever the make it is, everything has 3 years experience, then they're very confident. Then after that, they will be fine, no matter, they will find a job, they will be very good in society. They're confident. First of all, in the house, they will look at like a doctor. MBBS, they don't even look at your house like you're a doctor. You need to have postgraduate. A patient does not come to you unless you're postgraduate. That's where the situation. So that's number one. All the Western countries have postgraduate. There's flaws in the Western. They're too expensive here. India has a very common sense approach. So we have very long strengths. And there are all too many studies there. We don't need many studies. So there's a lot more our yoga or naturopathy, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. There are our society, culture, and then a psychologist support system. India has much better compared to them. So there are good things we learn from America, but a lot of things we don't need to learn from America or Western countries. So our the policy increasing the MBBS to I think 1,000 WHO standards. Our departments in every medical college, we have our own strength. When I present to program directors, they're awesome. They love that. What you see in the morning outpatient, afternoon inpatient, that policy, they like it. So we are very common sense approach. We are solution based, but we're just getting together, uniting, taking time a little bit with the digital. It will come back, and we'll be strength to reckon with. And I'm so proud of our system, and we are learning slowly, and we'll get together. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Over to Dr. Abhinav.
Yeah, my question is for Minu sir, Minu Bajpai sir. Sir, what policy changes do you think are necessary to address the disparity in UG and PG? Examples are like there was a policy change for medical colleges establishment, the area-wise reduction of campus, and those changes were necessary for increasing the number of MBBS colleges. So, sir, what kind of specific policy changes do you expect to happen so that the PG seats can increase?
So as you say that if you look at the soft policy changes which have already been done, we have rolled out the program which would have immediate benefits because we are tapping the existing resources without having to invest a lot. See, it's important that our countries should know what is pragmatic, what is practical. Opening up one medical college costs about 300 crore rupees. Opening up one All India Institute of Medical Sciences would cost 1,500 crore rupees, 5 times more. Now, all these are places where we treat patients also. Treating patient in a government setup, public setup requires a lot of money. So you look at the model and the challenges that country has, but all the same time, we need to train people for our country. The deficit is there. As the population increases, the gap also increases. So this part, as I said, that this was the first step to see that our PG training space finds a place in the hospital where a lot of patients are already there. Similarly, we had to make a little change in policy that we are coming forward to create a tripartite agreement, hand-holding a corporate hospital to train an MBBS student. We help them by setting up a collaboration with a medical college which has got pre and paraclinical facilities, the laboratories, the pharmacy, pathology, etc. for the student, and we there to monitor that. Well, we'll round it up. Whenever the hospital is there, we will do monitoring, we'll go physical inspection, etc. So these are soft changes that do not require a huge amount of investment. I would call it pragmatic today. Now, at the same time, what all we can do and what we have learned through blessing in disguise through the COVID time was the use of online platform. The whole globe has now learned that online is so beneficial, and that's what we are doing. Teleconsultations are now finding place everywhere. I mean, not only in medicine, but teleconsultation in all fields, legal, industry, everywhere it is happening. The CEOs are sitting in their offices and then addressing the globe. So the teleconsultation, telemedicine, reaching out, our district hospital today is a district hospital medical officer talks to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, professor of medicine or endocrinology, and says, I have this patient, this is what I'm doing. Is it okay? So imagine, so this is another part to extending. So these do not require huge policy changes, but they are required to address the deficit at hand. Having said this, the major policy change which the government has brought to the ground already is that they have started collaboration of the district colleges, district hospitals, which has a huge number of patient turnover, changing them into a new scenario of medical colleges. So the hospital setup was there, patients were being treated, medicines were being procured, but at the same time, the college component, pre and paraclinical, was not available. For this, the corporates are ready. They want to club with them. And similarly, the medical colleges are ready. So I think these are all slowly emerging landscape changes, which would be on the ground very soon. And I'm sure every city would have a tertiary care institution. But if you look at the joint accreditation scheme, we might nip the bud the disease right at the district level or a township level, and do not allow it to reach those proportions where tertiary care institutions require their treatment. So we are actually balancing the act, if you put at it, that trying to see that we don't have to have diseases to be treated by the highest specialists because they had been nipped in the bud. And so these are things which I would like to say from the top of my head.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for elaborating on this. I also agree that making such kind of policy changes requires a lot of courage and a lot of potential time, because a single policy change can impact lakhs of lives. So that is very encouraging for us, because we students also want that we can get as much more opportunities as possible. Now, Abhishek, over to you.
Good evening, sir. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Lokesh sir and Dr. Bajpai sir. Firstly, whatever slides you have showed, it really brought a new perspective. Being a medical student, we don't get to know what is happening inside the system, and we only see the one side of the story. But now we understand the two different perspectives, what the system is doing for us and what we face. So of course there is a gap, and that will be filled up in a longer period of time, definitely. But knowing that there is a progress happening in coming years, that is again something that motivates students and even the future doctors upcoming who are still dreaming to become a doctor. So that motivates them. So I have few questions. Some may be relevant and some may be which I want the speakers to address, and these questions are both open to both the speakers. So firstly, what we have been saying that if we see that there's of course a lot of reforms that in the US healthcare system or other countries they have, but not every reform is applicable in India, because we have a different sort of population, we have different set of the diseases, everything. So not everything is practically possible. So what all we can adapt and which can be practically implemented and which will be beneficial. So this is my first question. If any one of the speakers would like to take on this.
Dr. Edara, I would request to enlighten me also, because he sees a global perspective and he is very much attached to what is happening in our country. Please, sir.
I think the gaps which I addressed, the postgraduates, when you're taking of that one, so we need to take advantage of in your own town, there's a private clinics, private hospitals, you need to go there. That need to be seen, because you don't need to be complete private, the government insurance programs need to be taken. There's also so that's where we have inertia, that's where the need to be there. We got every patient, they use, like VK Paul said 2-3 years ago when he said, every patient bed need to be used for medical education. That's what I see the gap here. That is the strength we need to adopt that one. Number two, for example, I studied NMC, 20% MCQ changed to 40, 60, 80, because this is already that students agreed. We published the article through the GAIMS help and we presented to them. That's one they're behind, because it's big. It's not, India is so big, it's not easy to adapt. We know easy to solution. It's so big, policy makes so much going on. So that's the adoption, and also education going to the direct to students. Keep the faculty in also direct and then working together. So here all the nationalized exams, nationalized teaching apps are coming on. So those are the gaps which Dr. Minu sir addressed, all of them coming with the Tata's help. And for example, anatomy, when you join the medical school, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, by the end of 12 months, or you did 2000 concept, 2000 learned, and then you get tested every week, then you know what you do. And you're already designed by your app. And of course, your faculty will be up there and learn how much I transfer to your knowledge. So these are all they're just putting together. I think we're in the right direction, but they're way ahead sometimes in the policymakers, some of them. So we're trying to address the gaps.
Thank you, sir. That really answered my question. So another question that I had was like Dr. Minu sir told that when we talk about bioethics and how to medical ethics, when we talk about it, and you are talking to the patients how to break out news. A lot of MBBS doctors, they are not well trained. So how do we standardize? Like sir told, there will be certain online courses, but how do we standardize? Of course, courses will be, but how will we make sure that the students are adherent to it? For example, doctors, they are made to follow these CPD sessions and CME sessions that they have to submit to the state medical council. But how do medical students will make them to follow these, do these courses, and how do we track them? So what about that?
I will give my aspect. The number of patients I see in my clinic very low compared to the doctor sees in India. They just treating medicine itself, they don't have time. I always say, whenever I call my the friend doctor, they, sir, are you busy with the patient? They are so busy, they don't have time to think. For me, a lot less, one-fourth of them what they see. So they don't have time to counsel, explain the psychological issues. They don't have busy, they can't even take a deep breath. If you make all the MBBS doctors into reasonable specialty, then that will give a breather space. Then they end up in seeing less patients, maybe more. I think we're not at the stage. It may take about 10, 15 years before we address that issue of course, you have to spend time. You can ask a doctor to spend 20 minutes for one patient, explaining them everything. Is it practical? Is it possible in India? No. Here, there's timer there, there's like, because there are number of the population. So it's going to take a long time from now. Some of them, yeah, if you pay for it, yeah, if somebody will explain you, explain. Even here, family medicine, doctors need to see 20 patients, and I can have time. I go and explain to them, even other things I explain to them. I explain to them what is the clearance and clearance. You have renal disease level 1, 2, or you have they may have some other test. I have time to explain to them. And the time is essential, and I think you're too busy right now to address across the board. I'm taking the policy wise. Of course, some patients you may end up in spending a little more time than others.
So that actually makes sense, because seeing the patient load in India and seeing the other healthcare systems, that itself is a disparity, and it's a different aspect as well. So one thing I've been pursuing with my residencies and planning for it. So I've seen that in the in the healthcare system, in the Indian medical education system, in the undergraduate research training, or I would say research experience or methodology is lacking. Whereas if you directly enter into the PG course, so you are made to write a thesis, and a lot of doctors are not well trained to that, and a lot of people are taking advantage of this. They are starting their own courses and not training and scamming students and not trained proper. That is, they are not well trained for that. Whereas if you see in the US residency, it is an unsaid mandate that if you have a research, there are higher chances of getting matched. So and for that, people do it. They are motivated enough to do it. But in Indian healthcare medical education system, it's not a mandate thing. So do you think in future there's a possibility of including research methodology in the undergraduate course, or sensitizing?
Absolutely. I wrote this topic research. There's a BCBR course, NMC put it. This amazing, excellent, all PGs has to do. And that course should be given to the MBBS students also. That way you know what it is, number one. Number two, GAIMS so have their own journal. I talked to my medical college and they're starting their own journal. So reasonable medical colleges should have their own journal. When they walk into my college, hey, I have prestigious index journal, and that gives me pride. So that's what we're trying to culture that one. That's one of the major thing I'm trying to push it across the whole nation. A research journal, and then because I can submit my alumni, I can pay yearly fees or whatever it comes. That's not a problem. Ownership slowly be so case reports. Then we can conduct the lectures how to produce the higher end articles too. So we're proud the IRCF, Indian International Council Federation, we build, and we are working with the AHA, and then we presenting them, and we their system review analysis. So we're slowly building on that one. So there's so many angles. Yes, research is must. And but imagine, I think Tarun, he published, I think, 130 articles himself. I mean, so average medical college, I think 3 or 4 here. But our students also, we didn't, the culture in North is a little better, the South even worse. I mean, we don't have anything. So, and compared to India, in India, I'm talking about. So once we start, you guys are amazing. You're brilliant. Only thing is we didn't start you. Hey, this is what we need to do. So once I came into the medical college, no exams. You worked hard. 4 months later, they have one intern. Oh, you're relaxing 4 months. But if you give an app, you have every week you have to take a special self exam, and your faculty is watching, you're back to normal. That's what we need. It is our fault not to put you in the track, rather than they're concentrating on SR, they're concentrating attendance. Attendance is not the concentration, how much you transfer the knowledge, not whether you come to the class. Even Harvard student is not coming to the class. So if you self exam they taken, how much they correct when compared to other one, how much proctor exam come in, how much transfer percentage. That's what we need to assess, rather than coming or not. That's what my request and submission.
Thank you, sir. One last question from my side, then we'll move it. We'll hand over the stage to Dr. Shubham, sir. So if you see in India, the working hours for residents and physicians, it's not well balanced. So what the system is trying to implement to balance out and provide a work-life balance between the doctors in life, and to keep the well-being of these resident doctors. So what policies and what changes a system is planning, and what they have been implementing, so they can,
It's very simple. You don't listen, you don't implement, I guarantee you. You compare, I can provide what happening in America and other. You compare, you make it together. You go to the present to the NMC, and they will do it. You don't, you only, students only erect sometimes some fees, something. The real values, you have to go and to the present to them, and they will do it. They're very nice, they're very adaptive. And it is a simple thing, because it affects the patients. If you're not sleeping, it will affect the patient. They're very nice. Sir, Minu sir can answer this too.
So basically, you are very right. We all have been through this, and the current generation is also going through this. There should be a proper work-life balance. Quality of life is as important. And at the same time, so all this has happened not only in India, it has happened across the globe. They were rich countries, so they were able to siphon away doctors from other countries. I told you about the example of Cuba. In India, also people are going from, so they are able to get, they are able to also have the number of hours of working, etc., because they are having less deficit than our countries. Now, what is important for us is that's where artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to help you. And how would it help you? Let us look at an example of even hospital administration. There are inventories, there are fraud detection, there are what is happening is electronic medical records. All this is requiring huge amount of labor work. With AI/ML, you'll have every data like a big data available at our fingertips. The manpower requirement will shrink a lot. This is administration part. Then Dr. Edara referred to how much time we do give to the patients. So these foundation courses, whether you are able to have time to talk to a patient as much it is required, but do you know it also? So that is self-learning. That is formative assessment. And that's where the smartphone will help you. So we have to figure out various gadgets. We have to look at the trends. Yes, unfortunately, the work-life balance is heavily imbalanced in our countries. But the reason which Dr. Edara mentioned, we hardly have patients, hardly have enough time for talk to the patients in detail and explain to them. We are doing good service to them. We are not curtailing, but it also has a risk of less safety. So artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to give us those algorithms where the manpower shortage and the pressure on the system will be reduced to a large extent. At the same time, our continuous effort to increase the numerator will continue and the denominator. So this is go hand in hand. We should see that how we can do it. We are short of doctors, there is no doubt. The ratio is 1:834, which includes almost half of them are from the other Ayush doctors. It's not allopathy alone, which is filling up that gap. So traditional medicine is also being developed in our country to address that deficit. I'm at the moment not talking about it because our mandate here is to talk about the medicine that we practice. So I think there are multiple measures.
Thank you, sir, for answering this critical question. I would say this has been a very talk that has been going on for a pretty long time. And I really thank you for you also acknowledge that this has been something that is going for a long time and we are working towards it. So thank you for that. Now, with coming to the end of the session, I would like to invite Dr. Shubham Anand, sir, for his closing remarks and the statement if you want to give anything.
No, I really appreciate the discourse and all the enlightening discussion that we had today. And by whatever Minu sir said, I think the first thing the national board should do is to have a PR, because I see like NB is doing so much in the background, but students they do not know about it. So,
Yes.
like most students just perceive NB to just be like a examination conducting body, but that is not the fact. You see, like the blending courses and all other things that they are doing in the background with DNB seats and increasing the PG seats significantly. Like they need to be appreciated for it. Even recently, like NB just became a punching bag because of the NEET PG exam that got cancelled, unfortunately. But we all know that it was not their call actually. Like it was they like, and national board is just like examination conduct. It will act as per advice of health ministry and NMC. So like I don't think cancellation of exam was their call, but still like many people criticized it because since it was given the responsibility for conducting it. But I really appreciate whatever things that you are doing. But I think Minu sir and we should be more vocal about all these initiatives that they are taking, and it should be more it should more publicize it whatever this good initiatives that is in the pipeline.
Very good. So I'll just make a rejoinder to a corollary to what you have just said. So we have had been several meetings now because of the two fiascos in the NET, which led to such a fox pass. But as a precautionary measure, the government didn't want another thing to happen. Now the worst thing is, and that's where the PR-ship is important, as Dr. Shubham mentioned, that we should have come out to the media, which we are going to do very soon. We make the questions, wrap up the question only 2 hours before the questions are released. There's no question of question paper being released out. So these are all gossip mongers. The people who want to earn money, they just throw up to the innocent student a fake question paper. They earn money out of it. National board releases questions or finalizes them only 2 hours, 3 hours before that question is actually released. So there is no actually question. So we were told by at the highest level that we should have actually come to the media to tell everyone that it is just not possible for a question to be released. But we will do that. And we will also reach out to you. Thank you, Shubham, and all the youngsters that you have created a platform, thanks to Dr. Edara, that our voices, and we are in sync with each other. We understand each other. We make changes which is to your requirement. You understand what is being done, and we get the feedback. So reaching out to across the globe through your association as I think a wonderful platform created by all of you and under the headship of Dr. Edara. These are some of the things that we will definitely do.
No, and actually, like NB on its part, like there are so many examination conducting bodies in the country, but we haven't heard any time like paper leaks in FMG or paper leaks in NEET PG. So we all really appreciate the level of dedication and kind of efforts that NB is putting for smooth execution of these exams. Just one last question, sir. Actually, many people in our comments, they are also asking that like when can we expect the NEET PG exams to happen? Because mostly we are hearing in August it is likely to happen. So which week are we expecting it?
So basically, we are trying all the time. In fact, I would want to mention to you that there is hardly a day when at least 2 or 3 meetings are not held to look at from every corner. We are trying to help the student as much as possible. And the meetings are not just a mundane meeting, they are happening at the highest level. If there's a meeting going on under the health secretary, there's a meeting going on in the cabinet also. We are trying to look at 360 degree. Nothing goes wrong. How much more benefit we can impart to the student. You will be happy and appalled when we declare the policy that will come out, roll out very soon. I can't give you the timeline. It's not proper for me to do so because it is yet being refined, but it won't be very long. Very soon you will hear some very major things which are very student friendly. And that's all I can say now. But rest assured that it will be good for you.
But most likely it is going to occur in August, right, sir?
You can't put words into my mouth. I'm 40 years elder to you.
No, it's policy. You cannot do that.
But let me tell
No,
you,
actually,
nothing to
many
hide from
people in the
you.
comment section, they are
Very
writing
soon.
because they were anxious
No.
regarding
So
when the second, so
yes,
that they can plan all their revisions and everything.
Let
I
me get
can tell
in.
you there will
Please
be not a
continue to
single
read.
not a single
Please
student
read,
will be
read.
disappointed. Not a single student will be disappointed. The kind of thing we are going to roll out. I can vouch for it.
So we really appreciate all the efforts that you have put in, and our education minister also gave a statement recently that I think Monday or Tuesday he gave the timeline. So all the students are hopeful that maybe in a couple of days all these details will be out, and it will be in like favor of all the students. And also we are really looking forward to the further exams and whatever uh, like initiatives that NBE has rolled out, and all the initiatives that is in the pipeline. So we really appreciate it and looking forward to it, sir.
Read 2 more months, you'll be fine. You get more score, better progress, easy seats.
Thank you, all of you, for
Okay, thank you so much.
coming forward and talking about all these critical issues. Thank you, Shubham sir, for
We
giving.
Abhishek, just one closing statements from our speakers.
Yes, sir. So, if you could take up and give us like a brief summary or a statement from your side, Dr. Yadav.
This is Lokesh Edara. Thank you for giving this opportunity, and we'll continue. This is actually this first Zoom meeting I came by Zoom by GAIMS myself, but I'm so happy I came, and we'll pursue our all day and night. That's my job as long as we are here, and then we keep medical education, and my medical MBBS student should be the best in the world. That's what our journey goes through. Thank you, Minu sir.
So,
Minu sir, any closing statements?
but I would like to tell you that I feel extremely proud of the current generation of our Indian citizens, youngsters like you. You have a very proud, bright future. You are far ahead in the same time frame when we were in terms of carrying the torch forward. We feel extremely relieved. We are aging. We are beyond 60. We know that there are few years left, but we know that we are leaving behind an India, which will be the same India which was more than 200 years ago, controlling 25% of the world's economy 200 years back. Can you believe it? We were so rich. How? But I don't want to go more emotional. But it's our ancestors. We represent the procession of our ancestors. Go to Ellora, see what our ancestors have created. From stone, one monolithic stone, they have created something. See what we have reached up to wherever we could. Look at our ISRO system, reached how it landed in the moon. It was like a cakewalk, so well balanced. The whole world is appreciating. And our Indian cricket team has done wonders recently. So I can only say that I am so proud of what we are leaving behind, a legacy of torchbearers. So congratulations to all of you. All the best.
I agree.
Thank you so much, sir, for sparing time from your busy schedule. We all know that, Minu sir, you have been doing all these meetings round the clock in different ministries and with different level of government officials, and finalizing all the things that has happened in the past 2 weeks. But still, you took out time for us, and like almost 1.5 hours that you gave. We are really grateful to you. Also, Dr. Idara sir, like it's morning in the US, and still it's your working time there, but still you took time for us to guide us and to enlighten our audience on both the perspective. Like you gave the US perspective, Minu sir gave the India perspective, and we all got many such insightful discussions that basically always remains in the background, and that only comes by the experience of 40 years of experience of Minu sir, and similar 30-40 years of experience of yours. Uh, so really grateful and thankful to you, and wishing you all a happy Doctor's Day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All
Thank
the
you.
best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you so
Good
Good
night.
night.